And we must, finally, we must reform ICE. But it looks at this stage, folks, ICE is beyond reform. ICE is totally out of control. And this week, I intend to introduce a bill to abolish ICE. We need to make ICE go away. 2003, before 2003, without ICE, various federal agencies were able to take care of business, and we can do this without ICE. But we do not need the murderers. We do not need this paramilitary organizations, members on our street terrorizing.
What's up, family? So we got to talk about this wild interview between Sean Hannity and this dude Shri Thanedar, who honestly might be one of the goofiest Democrat walking on two legs right now. The goofiest Democrat award goes to him. I'm not even trying to be funny, but this man pulled up on Fox News like it was sweet. Like Sean Hannity was about to toss him softball questions and let him push his little agenda unchecked. But nah, bro, he walked straight into the lion's den and got cooked. Not just lightly, I'm talking rotisserie style, baby. Now, this is exactly what I mean when I say you can't let these leftist politicians just get up here and spin, dodge, and manipulate their way through interviews like they always do. These people do not pull up to talk facts. They don't show up to own what they done or stand on principle. Now, no, they come in to gaslight with strategies or strategically gaslight, dodging direct questions, flipping a conversation into what about Trump? Trump this, Trump that, bad man Trump, orange man bad, like we forgot. But they are the ones in power right now. It always deflects, right? Misdirection, always playing victim. And Hannity wasn't having it this time with Shri Thanedar basically blaming Republicans being in power right now. But it doesn't take away the accountability as a congressman for your ignorance, let alone the most anti-American rhetoric that you guys just heard just now in this first clip, right? Sean Hannity actually pressed him. And I got to give my credit to Sean Hannity for doing an amazing job in making sure this man answered the questions that American people should be looking at the truth in regards of how they deflect and play games right in our faces, right? So when you look at it, he pressed him. He stayed locked in, Sean Hannity, and he kept bringing it back to the man's actual record. Like, yo, you're leading an impeachment effort against the sitting president. That's serious. Why are you doing that? Based on what basis? What's your evidence? And Shri was stumbling. Dude was trying to skate around every question like it was an ice rink. Hannity hit him right on wanting to abolish ICE. Like, think about that. Hannity had to hit right on the issue and the topic of Shri Thanedar wanting ICE abolished, as you guys just heard in this first clip, right? This man doesn't want to enforce immigration law. He wants open borders, total chaos, zero accountability, all just to pander for votes. And people like him do this not because they believe in it, because they think that's how you win elections in today's Democratic Party. They say the most extreme thing, push the wildest ideas, and just hope people are too distracted to notice you're not saying anything real. And the funniest part is he made a complete clown of himself on national TV. Like, we got to stop pretending these people are serious policymakers. Seriously, this guy isn't leading with logic or solutions. He's leading with vibes and buzzwords. And this interview was a masterclass in how to handle folks like this. And don't let them set the tone. Don't let them dance around the truth. And most importantly, don't let the audience get lost in the noise. You keep pressing, you keep bringing it to the facts and bringing it back to the facts. And eventually their whole performance falls apart. So yeah, I want to break this down, but I feel like, and this is just my opinion, the Democratic Party has become soulless. They have become so unrealistic to the point that delusion and ideology trumps reality for the American people, let alone constituents that these Democratic individuals represent. And it's not that it's a coincidence. It's just full-blown ignorance because it's policy that comes on their best benefit to interest them to self-enrich themselves, let alone fill their pockets with kickbacks and all of this nonsense that they push through, because you could look at a enormous bill and it might sound phenomenal. Oh, we're helping children. But the reality is, on paper, it looks good, but is the money actually going to the resources that they claim that they say they are without them getting kickbacks? Right? So they love passing massive bills, making it as if they're in the best interest of Americans, but really is bloated where fraud can seep in through loopholes that the American people will be too distracted to notice. The Democratic Party has become so soulless that if you're rocking with them at this point and when a state and what they are, and that's not saying I'm not telling you to be Democrat or Republican, I'm just saying the simple fact is delusion cannot take place when it comes to leadership, because there's no logic, and the true character of a leader has to be logical, or logical. Being logical has to be essential as in part of a characteristic of the character of a leader, I should say, right? And if you rocking with me on that, comment down below. Let me know. We having a conversation. But what I'm saying is, if you are a Democrat, and there's nothing wrong with being Democrat, but the state of the Democratic Party is so far gone that it's soulless to the point it doesn't even care about the American people. It cares about votes in exchange for your lives being destroyed, as long as it enriches them and they get to stay in power. So now I want to move on to the next clip and actually get into the nooks and crannies, or the meats and potatoes of Sean Hannity giving this man the work. Check it out.
Is with us. All right, just to be clear, the president's joint session speech when he honored the family of Laken Riley, murdered 24-year-old nursing student, murdered by an unvetted illegal immigrant, and honored little Jocelyn Nungary's family, brutally raped and murdered a 12-year-old girl. Did you stand? Did you give honor to that family that lost so much?
Look, Sean, thanks for having me.
I don't need the thanks. Did you stand or not? Did you stand to honor those families?
I did not stand.
Straight out the gate, he hit us with the classic. But this president, and it's another way of saying, but Trump, right? That's the but Trump move. But Trump this, but Trump that. And this right here is exactly what I keep trying to tell y'all. You cannot let these people pull that off. You ask them a direct question, and in this case, Sean Hannity asked this man a direct, simple question, something like, hey, did you honor these families? And instead of answering it, instead of owning his actions like an adult, he pivots straight to Trump. Let's continue, family. I'm gonna rewind it back a little bit.
Did you give honor to that family that lost so much?
Look, Sean, thanks for having me.
I don't need the thanks. Did you stand or not? Did you stand to honor those families?
I did not stand because the president.
You sat on your ass.
I was just sick of the president.
So I want to be clear.
I did not.
You sat on your ass, and you wouldn't stand for families of that lost children. A 12-year-old girl raped and murdered, and you couldn't stand for them because you were playing politics. Is that right? I want this audience to know.
Look, I would not stand for this president. I would not stand for this president. He was lying.
You weren't standing for
boasting.
them. You were standing for the families that lost little girls that were murdered by the illegal immigrants that you want to remain in the country. Is that true or false?
Look, this president was using a tragedy.
I'm not talking about it.
Riley's death.
What about those?
Oh, man. And what does Trump have to do with you dodging your responsibilities right now? Sure, Thanedar. What does that have to do with that? But this is strategy. This is the whole game plan with these folks. It's deflect, distract, and delay. And they don't want to be held accountable. So what do they do now is throw out Trump's name like it's some kind of magic shield that protects them from scrutiny. Nah, we are not letting that slide anymore. You got to shut that down on sight. You got to stop them mid-sentence like, nah, we're not doing that. Stay on topic. You are the one under the spotlight right now. And that's the only way to handle these individuals, because if you don't keep them locked in on a topic, if you don't press them hard, they'll waste every second with word salad and political gymnastics. Just pure nonsense. And you could see it in real time. The dude is scrambling and scraping, fumbling, trying to dodge accountability like he's in a game of political dodgeball. And it's actually wild to watch. And this is why I always say, I'd rather be aggressive and get to the truth than sit there and let them filibuster their way into a sympathy clip on Twitter. These people are pros at running out the clock. You ask about their record, they give you a 5-minute TED talk on January 6th. You question their policy, they start naming every bad thing they think about Trump or whatever, every bad thing Trump ever did. It's all smokescreen. And Shri Thanedar is no different. He's not special. He's not new. He's just another leftist reading from the same tired playbook.
Family, have you ever picked up a phone? Because there are thousands of Americans that have been murdered and raped and victims of violent crime. Have you ever spoken to any? Have you ever called them to offer your condolences? Name one family. Name one family.
Look, every immigrant, everyone must follow American laws.
Have you ever picked up a phone and called a victim's family?
Look, I talk to my constituents all the time.
Not a hard question. Not hard.
Yeah, I do.
Have you ever picked up your phone and called them? Have you done that one time?
Look, I talk with my constituents all the time. My constituents are being terrorized by ICE.
Yo, is this man a robot? He said, look, my constituents been terrorized, sir. And that's false. This is the propaganda that I'm talking about, family. This is the propaganda. He's staying on code. He's staying on script to whatever the Democratic. You realize all these Democrats say the same thing, right? It's like they're robots. You take them and you just wind their back up, and then you let it play out. You know them little toys where they gotta wind. You just wind them up to the script of the playbook of the Democratic Party and what to say, and you fill them up with all these talking points, and they'll just keep spewing the same nonsense. Look, my constituents, yeah, I do, look, terrorize. Bro, what are you talking about, bro? What are you talking about? I'm not mocking them. I'm just trying to add some entertainment. But you get what I'm going with this. It pisses you off as a taxpaying citizen. It pisses you off as American citizen, let alone illegal immigrant, right? Who came over here, done things the right way, and these people play in your face, and they get paid as public officials from taxpayer dollars to sit at their butts in them seats and supposed to be operating on the best interest of American people. And this man is sitting here stumbling, talking about, look, what do we see? Ignorance. What do we see? Manipulation. What do we see? Propaganda. Right? And honestly, shout out to Sean Hannity, man. He didn't let it slide. He's keeping this man on the ropes. He kept coming back with real questions like, bro, you leading an impeachment effort. You trying to pretend like this is some casual convo on The View. We didn't even get to the impeachment part, but still, like, this ain't that. This ain't The View. This ain't the lunch ladies. This is some serious business. If you're going to throw fire like that, you better be ready to explain yourself. But instead, my man out here acting like he's at a campaign brunch with his donors. Honestly, I don't even know who told him to go on Fox News. It was a smart move. Like, who's running this guy PR? He had to be down bad in the polls to think this was a good idea. It screams desperation all over it. Like, hey, maybe we show up to the most hostile audience possible and people would think I'm brave. Like, nah, bro, all you did was expose yourself as unprepared, unserious, and completely out of your depth.
You ever called an American family that has been a victim, murdered, raped, tortured by an illegal immigrant? Yes or no, Congressman? Did you ever call them?
I have met people. I am sure I have met people.
I'll take that as a no. All right. You actually said this, and, you know, I could talk to you all night about the dumb stuff you say. You voted against the bill mandating the deportation of illegal immigrants convicted of sex crimes. Can you explain that to me?
Well, look, anybody who breaks U.S. laws, an immigrant that breaks U.S. laws, should be deported. Anyone that commits
That's not what you said.
Should be deported.
Sir, you voted against a bill that mandated the deportation of illegals convicted of sex crimes. Do you regret that vote now?
No, I don't regret that vote. Look, no bill is perfect, and many times...
What if it was your wife, your sister, your daughter that was raped? That's a sex crime. You want that person to stay?
Look, there are multiple things in a bill. I
If
don't
it was
agree
your
with every one
sir,
of them.
Sir, you got to answer the question. If your wife, your daughter, your girlfriend, mother was raped by an illegal immigrant, you voted against a bill that would deport these illegals convicted of sex crimes. You're perfectly fine if they stay in the country.
Sean, look, I serve in Congress. I don't think you ever
That's what
served
you
in
voted
Congress.
on, though, right?
Most of the bills. Look,
Why
most
did
of
you
these
vote for
bills
that?
are not perfect
Why
bills.
did you
There
vote
is not
for
a-
that? Why would you allow sex crime convicts to stay in the country that entered the country illegally? Why would you vote for that?
It was not, the bill did not just include that issue. There were other things in the bill. And so I cannot pick and choose. I don't have a veto where I can strike out one portion
So
of
you
a bill.
you would have
So-
voted against it otherwise? What was the big provision that prevented you from kicking these people out of our
Look,
country?
I don't memorize. I vote on thousands
I don't
of bills.
memorize. You don't know
but
anything.
Look, I do believe that such criminals must be deported. There is no doubt about it.
Well, you voted against it. So obviously you don't.
Like I tell
got
you-
another question for
like
you.
I tell you-
In the first case
Yes.
in Minneapolis, where this woman accelerated her car at the ICE agent, that ICE agent was injured. Did you know that? Do you know what the injuries were?
Look,
Do you know what the injuries were?
That's the only source of that information is DHS, and DHS secretary lies. She lied to me on my face.
You're
in
accused.
my
So you're
committee
saying
hearing.
that the internal bleeding reports are lies. You don't believe them.
I have seen no evidence of that. It is only coming from DHS.
Well, let me ask
and
you this.
DHS
You're a lawmaker. Do you believe in the rule of law and that a person's innocent until they're proven guilty, sir?
Absolutely, absolutely. But look,
Then why
what
did you
Christine
call
O'Donnell
this
did was-
ICE agent, why did you call him a murderer? Because there was a
Well,
4,000-pound vehicle that was being driven right at him. Why did you call him a murderer?
Look, lots of people saw that video. America saw that video. 82%
Why did you call
of Americans.
that? If you believe in due process, why did you say he's a murderer?
Well, see, her last words were, "I have nothing against you, dude." She said it in a very civil manner. This person pulled out
And
his
then
gun and shot her
accelerated
4 times.
right at the officer. Clear as day. Can't miss it.
He was trying
you know what
to,
the problem is, Congressman?
He was trying to
And
open
you
the
know what?
door. He was.
I'm going to tell you something. It's people like you and your rush to judgment and your language and you're defending even his own wife called him a wife beater, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, your buddy. It's people like you that don't care about the American people. And then you attack the brave men and women. I was scrolling all of the victims of crime, and you never lifted a phone to call one victim, one family. You call ICE agents murderers, and they're out there. They're putting their lives on the line. They are arresting murderers, rapists, cartel members, drug members, known terrorists, and you have zero appreciation. And now the threat level against them is up a whopping 8,000%, and I blame people like you for that. You incite them.
Well, look,
your incendiary comments. I find it nauseating, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
Well, look, ICE is murdering people, murdering American citizens. They murdered a U.S. citizen, a mom with 3 children. Okay. That's not acceptable.
In your view, you know what, sir? I see a very different tape than you. I saw a guy whose life was in jeopardy, and he defended himself. That's the difference between us. Thank you for coming on. More Hannity coming up. The Iranian regime on the verge of collapse and the threats.
Sean Hannity, I couldn't agree more. I mean, rushing to judgment is just ignorant. And at the end of the day, Shri Thanedar, he's not a judge. He's not an attorney. So who is you as a policymaker to make such judgment? Innocent to proven guilty, right? So hold your judgments because you are a policymaker. You are basically operating on behalf of your constituents. Who is you to put out that type of rhetoric when you are not in the process of, you don't even play no part in the court of law? So now you're trying to be a policymaker and take place of a job that you're not even qualified for, such as court of law. You're not a judge. You're not an attorney. I couldn't agree with Sean Hannity more in this video than ever. But look, I'm going to finish and I'm going to close. Because look, these leftists got a group chat or something, man. Like, at the end of the day, with their scripts and them being wind up with a battery put in their back and they're inciting violence to put other batteries in other people's backs, what I can say is these exact talking points, word for word, and you hear them over and over and over, and they just rinse and repeat like robots coming off an assembly line straight out of the woke factory. And one of the dumbest examples of this is, and I mean truly brain numbing, is when they try to defend somebody obstructing ICE or resisting law enforcement by saying, well, she wasn't trying to hurt the officer, or she said she wasn't mad. Like, what? Since when does intent cancel out action when it comes to the use of force? That's not how the law works. That's not how any of this works. Intent doesn't override the actual threat an officer perceives in the moment. But you got these clowns repeating that line like it's gospel, like it magically makes everything okay. Oh, she said she wasn't mad, therefore no danger. Bro, this is legally irrelevant. And more importantly, it's just dumb. And yet you hear it again and again from every liberal commentator, activist, blue check media figure, like they been all programmed with the same nonsense. And it's scary how unified they are in being wrong. And it's not just harmless stupidity either. This stuff is dangerous. And I'm talking real world consequences here, because these same talking points, this gaslighting, this manipulation is radicalizing people. You got folks out here believing they're freedom fighters for blocking ICE operations, throwing bricks, causing chaos because these elites in their fantasy studios told them they're on the right side of history. Meanwhile, the ones doing the radicalizing, they're not out there. They're not on the front lines. They're not losing eyes and limbs in protests. They're not the ones getting arrested facing federal charges. No, they're in air conditioned offices, collecting paychecks, sipping lattes, watching the chaos from a distance while the folks they riled up out there getting wrecked. In this case, they are in offices that are heated up and warm and cozy because, Washington, D.C., down there, it's wintertime. It's cold. In Minneapolis, it is freezing out there. But look, the Democrats do got blood in their hands. I agree with Sean Hannity. In other words, that's what he was saying straight up, because it's not just about the American citizens being harmed by unchecked illegal immigration, which, yes, that's a real issue with real victims, but it's also the people on their side being sacrificed for the narrative. The pawns being thrown out into the streets with no clue what they're actually fighting for. They're just parading slogans and hoping someone on TikTok calls them brave. And they're getting paid. These are paid protesters. Right? Because I can't wrap my mind behind how these people don't have bills, responsibilities, kids to take care of, a job to go to. And that's why this interview was so important with Sean Hannity and Shri Thanedar, because that's why what Sean Hannity did was necessary. He was aggressive, but he had to be, because if you don't press these people, they'll hijack the entire conversation with but President Trump, but Trump nonsense. Try to make their whole interview a distraction, a circus. And the audience learns nothing, zero accountability, but Hannity didn't let that happen. He kept the heat on, he asked the real questions, and he didn't let this dude squirm out with talking points and sob stories. And that's how every single one of these interviews with leftists needs to go. And that is true journalism. No more letting them run the show. No more letting them twist the topic or act like they're above answering basic questions at the cost of Americans not knowing the truth. Press them, corner them with facts. Don't let them up. Don't let them up. They either fold or finally say something real. But don't let up. Don't let up. That's how you handle it every single time. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. As always, we're having a conversation. Let the love supersede the hate. Spread that peace, love, and positivity always. And if you're tired of the gaslighting, we need more real ones speaking up. And that's the truth. Catch you in the next one, family. Love you. Appreciate you for rocking with me.